Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining another Lead Squared webinar. It's all about insurance today. So we are discussing the new age customers reimagining insurance rather. Okay, so some of the points that we will discuss today are the current challenges and the industry drivers in the Indian insurance landscape, how insurance are reshaping their presence to cater to the new age customer like yourself, and the present day customer challenges. We will also discuss top investment priorities and ways to accelerate insurance penetration in the Indian market. So let me go into our speakers today. Our key speaker for the day is Mr. Prasad Krishnamurthy, who is the head of InsurTech Solutions at Perfios. Perfios is our partner and also a SaaS-based B2B fintech software company that caters to the BFSI space. So Prasad here comes with 20 plus years of experience. I'm sure there's a lot to learn from him. And last but not the least, our very own Vishal Suri, who is also the moderator for the day, and he is the associate director for strategic partnerships at Lead Square. So with that, I will hand it over to the two gentlemen here. Just a quick note to the audience: if you have any questions, comments, please post them on chat. We'd love to hear from you. Anything at all, we're happy to address that. Yeah, thank you so much. Over to you, Vishal.
Thank you, Shivani, for the lovely introduction. Hi, Prasad. Good to see
Hey,
you.
hey, Vishal. Thank you, Shubhani.
First things first, Prasad. Many congratulations on the massive fundraise that you have just announced. Right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you. It was a big milestone for Perfios and for all of us.
Yeah,
Been part of this for about 15 years. So it's a big step in our global expansion.
lovely. And I'm sure the atmosphere in office is very energetic after the fundraise, and there is chaos all around. Is it?
It has settled now, but there is
Okay.
excitement which is continuing.
Perfect. Again, many congratulations on that, Prasad.
Thank you.
Yeah. And before, commencing the session, should we, quickly introduce ourselves? Maybe you can introduce yourself and Perfuse in a couple of lines, so that everybody, is aware of what Perfuse and Leechwood is essentially trying to do here.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you. And Shubhani gave a short introduction, but Perfios is a B2B SaaS product technology company. We mainly focus on solutions which involve data analytics, automated decisioning, digital transformation, and identification of fraud and risk during this transformation. And we target mainly BFSI space. Okay, so we are pretty well established in certain use cases across the BFSI segment. I personally have been part of Perfios for the last 13, 14 years, and I specifically handle all our solutions targeted towards insurtechs and insurance companies. And this we are doing it both in India and in about 15 other geographies. So the short introduction of what we do.
Lovely, Prasad. Thanks for that. Maybe I'll now take an attempt to introduce Lead Squared in as concise manner as possible. So Lead Squared is a new age sales and marketing automation platform. Wow, that was a mouthful. But what we essentially do in the insurance space is there are two critical elements that we really solve for. One is we will plug all the lead leakage, right? Any inquiry, or rather anybody who wants to reach out to a company in any manner possible, we will help them. We will enable them to reach out to that company without any information, without any data leakage, right? That is one. The other thing that we solve for all the companies we work for, and especially insurance companies, is the lead to sale conversion cycle. Before and after Lead Squared, you can see as much as 30 to 35% increase in the lead to sale conversion ratio, right? These are the two critical elements that we really solve for in the market. Of course, there are other features as well that we have embedded into it. Yeah. So now, talking a bit about insurance industry, insurance landscape, and taking this discussion forward, I was actually reading an interesting stat, Prasad, that, India insurance penetration is at 4.2%, right? But when I compared it to the global, global insurance penetration at large, globally also it is at 7%. So it is not that India is doing really bad in terms of insurance penetration, but yeah, the fact is we are still behind the global average, right? Having said that, India is the 10th largest life insurance market and 14th largest general insurance market globally, right? This despite the fact that we only have 4% insurance penetration in the country, right? So this essentially shows that there is definite potential for insurance players in the market, right? So you have 4% till 100%. Even if you reach the global stage, it is 7%. Still, there is a lot of insurance. There is a lot of headroom for insurance companies to grow. That is one. There is potential. Secondly, I was reading a bit about IRDA. So IRDA has recently launched insurance for all by 2047 campaign, right? So what IRDA is saying that we want everybody, all life insurance and all general insurance, uh, there should be everybody should have life insurance as well as general insurance wherever applicable by 2047 in the Indian market landscape. And for that, they have launched many such regulations, many such relaxations to empower the three ecosystem players in the insurance space. One is the insurer, that is, general public like you and me, the policy holder. The other is the insurance provider, right? The other is the insurance distributor, right? So there are a host of relaxations for all these three ecosystem players to ensure that there is 100% of insurance penetration by the year 2047, right? So the point I am trying to drive here is there is potential that we see, that we saw previously. There is intent also that we are seeing with the regulations that IRDA is driving, right? Now, coming back to the question that I really want to ask you, coming back to the question for which I am really establishing the base, is what are the current industry barriers and drivers that you see in the insurance landscape, right? So it is, what barriers do you see and what are the drivers that will help us take to that vision of 2047? Yeah.
Sure, Risha. So as you said, the penetration is not bad, and it has actually doubled in the last 2 3 years, from about 2% to 4%, and the global average is 7%, which is a percentage of GDP. So I think we are in a good position. But as you said, what we lack and what IRDA is focusing on is the universal coverage, so that the 100% of the population gets the insurance coverage. And today, the major enabler, as you said, one of the enablers is the regulator, okay, who's trying to relax certain norms like pay and use. So use and file. So which means first is use a product and then file it. So earlier, the new products need to be approved, filed with the regulator, and only then it can be released to the market, whereas it is the other way around today. So, which is all relaxing, and there is sandbox, which is relaxing. But what is still stopping the insurers from distribution at a very grand scale is the adaptation to the new changed market. So while post-COVID, the insurance sales has soared, but the adoption of digital distribution is still 1 to 2% in overall insurance sales. It is mostly people-driven, a push product. The entire awareness and availability of insurance products is still very, very low. I think the greatest barrier there is the lack of understanding of insurance as a viable financial asset. Right? So, right from education, like the way mutual funds had a huge marketing campaign to say mutual fund sahi hai, or to inculcate the entire knowledge into people, saying that this is a viable financial instrument. And that is not something that insurance has done so far. So it is still something that the neighborhood uncle pushes on you to buy, right? Or People typically, especially the newer uh, entrance into the job market, buy it for some IT saving. Okay. But beyond that, people don't even think about insurance as a financial asset. I think that education part uh, is
Mhm.
one of the biggest barriers. So until that changes, it will continue to be a push product. And the insurers and the distributors have to spend more time trying to convince people into buying insurance. Whereas the while the products are available, people are not choosing or looking for it actively.
Right. And what are the drivers that you see? I see education and awareness as a key challenge that you point out. What are the drivers that you see at a
Okay, so
surface
one
level?
is the new age distributors. Okay, so that is a huge uh, thing. So there have been some relaxation. So there is something called the POSP model, which IRDA has come up with, which is sort of at the ground level be able to push insurance to individuals. The last mile coverage has been, there have been some amount of enabling in the last mile coverage of the POSP model, where you have lesser restrictions than an insurance agent who can sell an insurance policy. So while there is still licensing to sell an insurance policy, some of the licensing norms have been eased and made it easier to actually sell an insurance policy. A small percentage is still digital, but that is fastly growing, right? And the new age the distributors are a big time getting onto that bandwagon. The third are the marketplaces, so where you get embedded insurance. So at the point of need, being able to buy one, right, which was not available even a year or two back, right? So where
Right.
you have an Ola trip or booking a train ticket in IRCTC, be able to check a tech box and get the insurance. These marketplace integrations that have started now are can expand to be a major drivers into solving this.
Got it. Understood. So Prasad, now moving on to the next question that I have for you. So you are a product guy, right? For the past, I don't know how many years you've been into product, right? And you interact with a lot of customers as well as prospects on a day-to-day basis, right? So from your lens, what is the gap in terms of that the insurers can plug in terms of a product that they offer to the customers? Is there a significant product gap that you see in the current products out there in the market?
Uh, I do. So that I'll split your question into two parts. Okay, if that is okay.
Mm-hmm.
The first part is not just with the product, but overall the problems that the insurer is facing, right? Where they are having a difficulty in moving from the traditional, bureaucratic company that it used to be to the fast-paced, data-based, uh, digital insurer. Okay, one of the things that they're doing right is trying to move into the digital platform so that they can quickly grow. What they're having is to doing it piecemeal. So a lot of insurers are stuck with technology where they actually need things that work. So they have lots of technology. Lots of insurers have invested. They are investing in a lot of technology, but they are investing in technology, and they are stuck with technology. But making it work requires a lot more initiative, and I think now a lot of insurers have changed the mindset in saying, okay, it's not just the buzzwords, but we need to change the way we work internally for us to actually do a digital transformation. The second part, with respect to products, is again something which is that there is a huge gap. Okay, and these gaps are being addressed at least in certain uh, aspects by new age insurtechs. For example, you have lots
Mm-hmm.
of insurtechs that address group health policies, right? So, which are specific to the needs of the market rather than what the insurer can do, right? So the insurer has to come up with newer products which address the needs of the customer. Okay. So
Mhm.
at the point of sale, now, for example, the health insurance, it has not changed much in the last 20 years. Okay. So you have the same kind of exclusions, limits, what percentage of what can be covered, and so on. So these terms and conditions, if you see from product to product, is the same year after year. Now, there are lots of new age insurtechs which address especially the group insurance market, which are trying to change it. They say, okay, now
Mhm.
can we change it into a more of a easily understandable products, easily understandable terms and conditions, so that you are not fighting for a claim tomorrow, right? Things are very easily spread out. Today, it is not easy to read and understand an insurance policy. Now, traditionally,
Yeah.
because an insurance policy is a contract for payment, right? It's a legal document. It is worded like a legal document. We ourselves need lawyers to actually read uh, that and help us understand all the terms and conditions that are there. So, unless these things fundamentally change, and you give an easier policy, okay, this is the policy. Um, so if we buy a motor policy, we buy a health policy, there is a damage. If there is an illness, I get paid. It's very simple. And what is
Yeah.
covered, what is not covered should be equally simple, right? But the truth is, it is not that. The amount of ifs and but ifs is very, very high. I think the first fundamental thing that need to change with respect to products, to answer your question, is the simplification of products, simplification
Yeah.
of the terms and conditions. I think that would be a great start for the insurers.
Understood. So, do you also see that these new age insurtech companies work in tandem with these insurers and try to simplify the already existing products that are out there in the market? Is
Uh,
that a phenomena
so
that you see playing out in the
yeah,
market?
so that is one of the things that is happening, where the
Mm-hmm.
insurtechs are working with the insurance companies and creating new kinds of products which
Yeah.
are benefit based, as an benefit solution, not necessarily this thing that is finance, and that the insurtechs further sell to as a group health policy and so on. So that way, some of these gaps are getting filled, but 90% of insurtechs today are more addressing the distribution problem, which is to get insurance to more customers directly. And so that, I think, similar to how the fintechs versus banks started,
Yeah.
right? So where fintechs were addressing the distribution. So from a coverage of about 4%, it went. It is now the credit is tremendously high, right? So
Yeah.
most fintechs worked on credit. Now, similarly in insurtech, it is while the insurance companies create the products, the distribution goes to the insurtechs, who are
Insurtechs. Yeah.
now coming up with new and different ideas to get it to the end customer directly.
Got it. And ultimately, I think the simplification also, lies more with the insurtechs versus the traditional insurer manufacturers.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is currently that while the insurers are trying, but again, the regulation, while it has relaxed, I think there are a few more steps to go before we can get even simpler products that can be sold.
Understood. Yeah. So, Prasad, coming back to my initial point of low penetration in the Indian market, right? So, one is there is lack of awareness that is well understood. The other, I feel, and it is, I think, accepted universally that there is a lack of trust amongst people getting insured versus the people who are insuring them, right? So, is there also are there also some strategies that insurers should apply to establish that trust, especially in the Indian context when universally we are a low trust economy, and then add to it insurance as a product, which is again a low trust product.
Right. So, yeah, I completely agree to that. See, the trust actually, the trust deficit is both ways. Okay. So the insurer has to trust their customers, that not all of them are out to cheat them or out to take away their money. And at the same time, the customers also have to trust the insurers that they are there at the time of need, right? Now, with respect to life insurance, it is pretty high. Is the feeling because most people take a life insurance looking at the settlement ratio, right? So, how good is the insurer settlement ratio? Now, that each insurer is judged because any insurance, the point of truth is when they pay the claim, right?
Yeah.
And if you see that, then actually Indian insurers are in a very good state. Okay, almost all the life insurers are at 99% or higher. I mean, around 99% or 99 point X percent. And COVID was a good example. I think the majority of the insurance claims almost were settled very, very quickly during the COVID time, which was like 3x, 4x the previous years. Okay. And the insurance industry stepped up and were able to pay off that entire set of claims. But if you see, these aspects are not publicized properly or not highlighted properly so that we as end customers are able to appreciate what the insurers have done in all these years. So that trust deficit is because there are two silos who keep thinking their own preconceived notions of what is happening. The insurers technically are trying to pay as much as possible, okay, within the scope of whatever legal terms and conditions that are there. And that is their main business. So they have to honor the claim, right? And they are doing a good job of it. But that is not being coming across. One of the main reason is that while they're spending a lot of time and energy and money in distribution and sales and doing due diligence in claims, in between, the insurer is completely ignoring the customer. Okay. So once your policy is bought, the only time a person contacts the insurer again is when there is a claim. And the
Yeah.
insurer is not having a level of service or interaction with the end customer during the intermediary parts. Okay. While some of the insurers are getting into that mode now after realization, and so that they are coming up with new uh, cases, new kinds of products, and say, okay, now I'll monitor your health and I'll give you goodies,
Yeah.
right? I'll give you some kind of, say, I'll see how you are driving and I'll give you some
Yeah.
if you do well, right? So some kind of interaction is happening or provide healthcare ecosystem kind of a thing. So you, anytime you want to go to a doctor, I'll help you get to that. You want a test, I'll help you get it back, right? So those kind of things, or even other financial assets, like with life insurance, you can get a bonus, you can avail a loan based on your policy, right? Now, these are things that require interaction, require a complete service. Now, so it should not stop at sales. That continuation has to happen, which is very minimal today. And I think to
Right.
improve the trust, apart from telling customers what good they are doing, this continuous servicing needs to be much better than what it is today.
Understood. So yeah, they essentially the need is to move from a transactional relationship to more of a conversational relationship, more of an engagement with the customer, and not just reach out to them only when the time for renewal is up.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
got it. Understood, Prasad. So yeah, Prasad, again, I mean, going back to these three pillars of insurance. One is the insurer, the other is the policyholder, the third is the intermediary or the distributor. Right now, I want to understand from you how are technology solutions, helping all these three ecosystem players in, smoothening their day-to-day, activities, or smoothening how they reach out to the end consumer.
Okay. So with the change landscape today, what we need is I want just in time. I want
Mm-hmm.
exactly when I want it. When I have the need, I want the product to be available to me exactly at that time, right? And whenever I have a need, I need to be serviced immediately, right? So customers have become far more demanding because I want insurance to work the same way as every other financial or every other transaction that I'm doing works. If I'm able to transfer, you know, up to 1 lakh rupees instantly with my phone, I'm able to do a lot of financial transactions with my phone instantly. I'm able to get a loan instantly. I'm able to do a lot of things at the point of need instantly. But then when I come to an insurance and it will take me 3 weeks, right? So it suddenly is a huge disconnect, which is not in line with the way we have evolved, the customers have evolved, right? So the main thing that technology companies and product are doing is to enable this level of instant gratification, bringing that to insurance, right? And how do you do that? One, by transforming all these policies, the processes, the bureaucracy into a completely digital process so that it can happen instantly. And there is a lot of focus on that so that I click a button, I want a policy. I mean, why should it take me 3 days? Why should a guy come to my house, take my photo, you know, I have to fill up 3 forms. I mean, even today, buying a health insurance might take 2 to 3 weeks or even a month or more in a lot of cases, right? Now, it could be an exception, but it cannot be the norm. So, getting that instant gratification, changing it into a digital uh, process is one of the main things to enable the insurer to do proper due diligence while it is digital. That is enabled mainly by data. And that is where companies like us and other technology companies focus. Because you still want all the information that you were gathering earlier in a non digital way. You want all that information
Yeah.
digitally. You want to analyze it immediately, digitally, and be able to decide immediately, right? Now if all of this has to happen, you have to have the knowledge of your customer to be able to do this. And that is one of the main things that technology is enabling across the board to be able to do, whether it is sales, whether it is distribution, whether it is servicing, or whether it is claims. We need instant gratification, which can only come with digitization and digital data analytics. And that is where almost all the technology is playing a big part there.
Understood. This, in fact, is a very good segue for me to ask you a bit more about embedded insurance. What is embedded insurance, and how do you see the, potential of embedded insurance to take the insurance penetration deeper?
Okay, so I mean, you were right in telling that this is the important segue because when it comes to data, okay, the marketplaces become the one of the major sources of information, right? So a marketplace is bringing together the different producers and consumers together in a single platform. It could be because you are doing a specific transaction. Say, for example, it could be say a credit marketplace where you are trying to get a loan, and at the point of getting a loan, say if you're a salaried person, you might want to get you can plug in an insurance product which is giving a salary assurance product. So today we have a lot of uh, bitwise products like this. So in case somebody loses their job, up to 3 months of salary is covered by the insurance, which will help you in taking that loan, right? Or if it is this a lot of things happen in working capital loans or loans by businesses where they need an insurance product along with the loan that they're taking. This is the credit insurance. So even that is not a separate activity to go and get that loan, get that insurance product, right? It is similar to how we are putting a check button when you are buying an IRCTC, which is embedded insurance, right? So I'm booking a ticket in IRCTC, I do a checkbox, and I get my travel insurance. I'm booking a cab in Ola, and I click a checkbox, I get an insurance. I'm buying a phone in Amazon, I do a checkbox, I get a phone insurance, right? So this embedding at the point of need, okay, today it is embedded, right? And they're able to do that because the marketplace provides all the data already. Marketplace knows the customer, and that information is passed to the insurer, so the insurer can make a decision for underwriting right at that point and be able to offer that insurance to you. Now, today, this is limited to small ticket insurance. But the idea is to, as time goes on, this could expand to a larger ticket insurances also. So embedded insurance, first of all, it gives you at the point of need, right? So what we discussed first, what do customers need? I need product when I need an insurance when I have the need for the insurance. Don't randomly come and sell it to me. So instead, the insurer is able to provide that insurance policy right when a customer needs it. And for them, for the insurance company, it is giving a better distribution, right? So you are able to target customers exactly when they need it. So there is a better chance that they're going to buy. Secondly, for a customer, because it's a marketplace that will have different insurance product, I have better choice also, right? So not only an end customer is getting the right product at the right time, I have a choice of which product I can choose. So now it works for both ways because the insurers are able to target the right people at the right time. And for an end customer, I'm able to get the right policy at the right time. Okay. So this will drive up not just the coverage where people are able to buy the insurance policy more, but also better products because now you are competing with other insurers for that right customer, right? So that will sort of make the customers also choose better. That means the insurers have to provide better products so that theirs gets sold. So I think embedded is the future of insurance. So there was this thing that used to be told that banks are not needed a few years back because all their products are being sold through other channels, right? I think this will sort of is the future for insurers also, where the products are sold through other channels as an embedded product, where the actual insurance company stays hidden. But only time will tell how that goes.
Understood. We see that embedded insurance will definitely improve the penetration of insurance in India, at least in
Absolutely.
some categories of the product.
It will be one of the biggest drivers to do this.
Understood. That is a bold statement to make, but yeah, I would have to, agree with you. Uh, I was in fact reading somewhere while prepping for this webinar that Kotak General Insurance Company, they have motor insurance, right, as one of their products. So they have introduced a feature in the product that you can switch on and switch off the motor insurance product as per your need. So if you are driving that car, you switch on that insurance. If you're not driving that car for an extended period of time, you switch off that insurance and you'll be charged accordingly. So that was a very beautiful insight for me that, how insurance is you know, how insurance is changing in India, how it is, modifying as per the needs of the customers. And this again helps you to keep in touch with the customer regularly. It is not that the customer will buy you once and forget. The customer will now be playing with you, will be
Absolutely.
interacting with you. Hey, I'm not driving
Yes.
a car. Let me switch off my insurance. Why do I need to waste money and stuff like that? Yeah, perfect. So Prasad, this leads me to another question, that there is so much information, so much data out there, right? And the insurance companies also want to use this data, run some AI engine around it, over it, and give personalized recommendation to the customers and make better use of this data along with AI, right? So what happens to security of this data? How do the insurance companies ensure that while using the data that is, available at mass out there, how do they protect this data? Any insights on this?
Sure. So we also, as a data analytics company, uh, this is one of the main things that we focus on. So, as we say, we have only two kinds of data. There is public data and consented data. So,
Hmm.
public data is data available publicly that and anybody can see. The second one is consented, as me as an individual. I'm by choice giving it to somebody for a particular use, right? So only two kinds. So there is no misuse. So what happens is, if I'm giving a consented data for a particular usage, then it should be restricted only to that and not be used to do something else, right? I'm giving my phone number to book a table in a restaurant, and that phone number should not go to some other telemarketer who says, okay, this guy regularly eats in this restaurant, so probably has a particular financial segment, so I'll try to sell some product to them, right?
Yeah.
So that is a misuse of data. But with respect to within an insurance company misusing the data, which is very unlikely, because the only data that they get is either public or consented. Now, with the consented data, this is something which is very strongly looked upon by the Indian government, right? So the first one is all the digital public codes, where we have new frameworks like the account aggregator, which is
Hmm.
making the data ownership lie with the individual, right? So I can
Yeah.
only share consented data myself. So it cannot be done by anybody else. I have to give consent for my data, and that comes directly from a source unaltered. So all financial data today moves through account aggregator. I mean, the channel is there, and it is getting the adoption is pretty high nowadays. I think it is just a matter of time before account aggregator gets the UPI uh, moment, right? So where it becomes
Mm.
as ubiquitous as UPI is today, where for any financial transaction, I'm not running to my bank account or a
Right.
different source to get that information, right? So it is at a click of a button. It goes from the source directly to the financial user to provide the service. And here, because it is a regulated data movement, that is, the government has put very strict guidelines on how and how not the data can be used. And that is provided to the end customer very, very clearly, and where you say, okay, and only then it is given. Okay, so this,
Right.
the digital public goods, the digital open infrastructure plays a huge part in ensuring data privacy. The second one is the personal data protection law that has recently been passed, which is a significant milestone in how an individual's data can be processed. So, which I think uh, in the next 1 year, a lot of implementations will happen, and there will be a huge change in the way personal data is being used. So, the personal data protection and the open infra, I think those are the right steps made by the regulators and the government to make sure the data is not misused. And I think since insurers fall into the same segment, they are governed by it. So I think there is a very less chance as time progresses of data being misused.
Understood. So basically, with the amount of data available, there are also regulations or there are also methods in place to ensure that data security is maintained, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Understood. Got it, Prasad. So this actually brings me to my last segment for you. So what, according to you, are the top three priorities, investment priorities for an insurance company to meet the new age customer demand, to meet the new customer base that we are, witnessing? What are the top three investment priorities as per you, Prasad?
Okay. So the first one,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, are simpler, better products.
Mm-hmm.
So the insurance products have to be simplified a lot. They have to be, they have to address a larger variety of needs that the customers have, and it should be simple enough for any layman to understand and not be a complicated, have complicated terms and conditions. So to do that, the second part is to digitally transform all their processes. So that is a requirement where they need to do a lot of processes today internally in insurance, which is being transferred to insurtechs and distributors also today, is the rigid workflow that is there internally. There are new age insurtechs and insurance companies who are changing it a lot, and they would probably have a better runway to the future. But others also have to do that change, right? And be digitally transform the way that they are working. And what that will enable is the third part, which is data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, for you to provide better products, for you to reach people uh, at the point of need, the main way that can be addressed is by understanding how the customers behave, understanding how the market behaves, understanding how the products are being used or misused, understanding more about their customers. So, all of this is present in the information that they have today. But since it's not digital, they don't have enough capabilities to understand it, right? So the digital transformation will enable a far more data centric or a data asset based insurance companies, which can actually implement all the changes that we just discussed.
Got it. Understood. So can you just rewind a bit for me and just highlight the top three investment
So the
priorities?
top three to repeat are better products,
Yeah.
digital transformation of processes, use the data to determine what should be sold and when should be sold and how it should be sold.
Perfect. Understood.
That's
I see Shivani on stage,
yeah,
so I
that's
think
gonna
that is a
go up.
cue for me to stop talking.
No, no, that's gonna go up as a gigantic quote on LinkedIn very soon. So we will certainly share that, and lots to learn from you today, Prasad. Thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Now we did get some questions earlier during our promotions, which I will read out. Before that, I think Arun was sharing a comment earlier when you were talking about policies. He said health policies, especially, are more complex in terms of understanding from a layperson perspective. In brackets, ailment coverage, exclusions. Not much has been done to simplify this piece from a tech perspective to have a hassle-free experience in the eventuality of claim. So if y'all have anything to add to that, any comments at all?
Okay. See, the thing is that uh, that's why when I said top three, uh, the top three, the last questions, top three initiatives that they need to address, they have to go hand in hand, right? And it is circular. Now, what it means is a transformation. So the claim. So here, for example, the eventuality of claim, you can have a good experience only if your product is simple, right? So when you're sold the product, if the underwriting and the product is simple, the underwriting rules did not change too much, it is easier to do a claim. Okay. And the product rules can be simplified if you have enough information about claims to know user behavior. So since it's health policies, I'll just specifically address that. So you have to have enough knowledge of the claims to say, determine user behavior, determine where uh, you know the insurance company is paying out more, where is it less. Does it even make sense to have long-winded limits, exclusions, coverage, and so on, if the applicability of that in actually while doing a claim is minimal, right?
Yeah.
Now, why should I give this 1% of room rent coverage, and this particular disease is not covered if not provided earlier, and so on, if it is not even significant, right? And how do we determine that? It is by looking at past data. Now, today, past data is all in files somewhere or scanned images somewhere. Now, how would I even do this analysis? So, as I said, the three initiatives go hand in hand. If I want simpler products, I need to do digital transformation, look at the data, analyze it so that I can have simpler products and continue this cycle to actually transform. Okay. So to Arun, I hope I have answered your question because it is cyclic in nature, being because the claim is dependent on the product and the ease of the terms and conditions needs the data which we have from claims to be able to make that decision and reduce the complexity of the product.
Sure. Arun, if you have anything to add to that, please put it on the chat column. In the meantime, I will take up some of the other questions that came in. So, with many insurance players in India, how are companies differentiating themselves and competing for market share?
It's only
Either of you, Vishal or Prasad, who would like to take it?
I think Prasad should take a stab at it.
okay, sure. You say as a said, so there are different categories of insurers, right? So depending on the kind of products and the kind of market that each one of them target, their products also differentiate. So, for example, uh, for so if we see the general insurance space, so within life insurance, obviously there is term and savings, and a lot of insurers try to differentiate when it comes to the savings products, right? So where depending on the different funds, depending on the different kinds of savings value that they can provide to the customer, so the differentiation is very high when it comes to life products, especially savings products, because by nature they're one, they're a bit more complicated. Second, you have a lot more options because it is based on investment, market cover, money back, endowment. So there are various options where they can differentiate. When it comes to general insurance, so say um first is health, next is motor, right? These are the two major chunks, and when it comes to general insurance, and in both cases, I think one of the main differentiators is the simplicity, where the new age insurers or new entrants into the health insurance market, especially the retail health insurance market, are trying to come up with much simpler products, right? So that is as we said, that is the first initiative to be done. And lots of insurers are trying to differentiate by making simpler products, cutting down on the complexities of if this, then I won't cover that. If this, then I will cover X% of this, right? So all those complex ifs and buts, a lot of new products are reducing. so that they don't have to keep doing that package, and they're able to get an edge with other insurers. And these two also evolve much quicker because we have 1 year policies, right? So the next year they evolve much better. So there is a nice race now, which is good for end customers like you and me, to because the competition is high and trying to give better and better products to us. One thing with respect to both health and motor is the problem of the insurers actually losing money in a lot of places, right? So the reason, so one of the major dangers is the health inflation. Healthcare costs go up, health insurance goes up, right? So it is like a vicious cycle. Even in spite of the competition, the insurance premiums are going up year after year. And one of the things that will help is simplifying the product, simplifying the claim, simplifying the data, which can instead drive better profitability, underwriting profits for the customer, for the insurer, which will drive, better premiums. So one of the side effects of all these changes that we talked about is, I hope, is a reduction in the premium amounts, apart from simplifying the policies.
Sure. Okay.
And
I
by the
believe,
way,
yes.
there are only 57 insurance companies in India,
Yeah.
and the penetration is 4.2% of insurance. So, I mean, even if these companies don't differentiate and just make simpler products for the masses, there is a vast amount of public to be, onboarded in terms of insurance. That is probably my take on that question. Simpler products, right, and extending the reach to the masses. You will enhance the penetration.
Yeah, so the next question is also about product innovations. What I've gathered is just make it simple, make it as simple to use, and that'll help you with your penetration. I'll move on to the next question. Are insurance companies in India increasingly integrating ESG principles into their operations and investment strategies? Prasad, Vishal? Environmental, social, and governance principles into their operations and investment strategies.
I don't think I can speak for the insurers. Okay, the the governance is actually getting higher. Okay, I'm not sure about how much they're doing in the social part, the which is taken care of by the government policies today. Right. So, for example, we have NHA, which is Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana, um, which covers 25% uh, of the bottom 25% of the Indian population, which by far is the largest public healthcare uh, in the world, right? So, uh, which is very, very significant in terms of numbers. So, insurers also take part in that. There are different government schemes in which insurance companies take part, but uh, I'm not sure. I'm sorry, I don't have too much information on what all other things that is being done.
Vishal, if you would like to add, or
I will pass that question, Shivani. That is too difficult for me to answer.
okay, okay, sure. Now I'm just trying to see if we've already, yeah. So what efforts are being made to streamline to enhance claim processing? I think we discussed that earlier. So okay, then I think we're good to go. We can wrap this up. But thank you so much, Prasad, for your time and sharing your expertise with our audience. We will be tagging you very soon on a bunch of social media posts. So please look out for those. And thank you so much, Vishal, for taking us through and moderating the session.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Shivani. Thank you, Vishal. Thanks, Lead Squared, for this opportunity.
Thank you,
And
Prasad, for being
Thanks,
a
everyone, for
patient
attending. Yeah,
answer to my question.
thanks for this.
okay. Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.